probably one of the things. Have you been in a situation, life or death situation, where animal-wise, wolves, grizzly bears, whatever, have you been in those type of situations?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been charged multiple times by bears, and we have a film called The Other Side. I'm trying to kill this grizzly bear with my bow. He's literally in this room. Like, he's at that camera right there. He's 7 steps away from me, 8.5-foot grizzly. And I come to full draw, and I'm totally present in the situation. Well, when you shoot a bow, you have a sight, and then your arrow sits about 2.5 inches below your sight on the arrow rest. I was full draw, and I put my sight picture right on his thoracic inlet. I'm going to shoot an arrow right down through where his neck connects to his chest. It's going to go right through his chest hole, and it's going to basically cut his aortic arch off the top of his heart. That's what I'm going to do. And he's going to die in seconds. And I come to full draw, and he's walking right at me, and I release the arrow, and my arrow drills a stick. But I think I smashed him. Like, I think he's dead, and I'm just literally like, I shot him, and my friend Lance Kronberger's right here with a gun, and then William is filming it right here over my shoulder, and the bear kind of backs up, and I'm like, oh, I'm just waiting for him to literally tip over dead, and I'm just sitting there, and Lance goes, "You missed." And I turned to him, and it's funny because I'm wearing a mic, and my heart's just like, do, 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 do. You literally can hear my heart just double. My heart rate just already it's up, right? Because this grizzly, there was a big round bush. He was walking right at us, and I thought he was going to go left or right and kind of can't and just continue on in a diagonal fashion. I was going to kill him when he walked by right or left. So I'm sitting there, and he's walking up to that bush, but then I can see he kind of sees me through the bush. So instead of going out, he comes around the bush to me. So now I have a frontal shot on him, a 1/4-2 frontal shot. So I miss, and then Lance is like, "You missed him."
So it hit a stick and ricocheted?
Hit a stick and deflected down.
Oh, my.
So I turn, I grab another arrow, and I knock it, and now I'm freaking out, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you know how they say, like, everyone has a plan in a fight until you get punched.
In the mouth,
I got punched. My plan was out the window. I don't even know who I am right now. So I come to full draw, and the bear starts coming. Boom, boom, boom. And I come to full draw, and I literally just rip my release trying to, like, make something out of nothing, and my arrow goes right in front of him. And he just pulls up, and then he just continues, and Lance literally goes, loads his gun, and from his hip, he just turns and shoots, and the bullet hits the bear in the head, but just in the muscle, and just flattens the bear. Just boom! He's on the ground, and all of our ears are ringing because he just shot a gun literally right next to us, and we're like in a dream sequence, right? We're just sitting there going, "Oh, whoa!" And then I'm looking at the bear, and I can see like the bear's blinking, and he's trying to stand up, and he's just not even breaking eye contact, right? He's just blinking. He's like, as soon as he gets his wits about him, he's coming. So I'm like, "Lance, hit him again." So he shoots him again. He shot him again, shot him again, shot him like 4 times, killed the bear. Well, when we scun the bear out, because we still have to carry everything out, right? Even though it didn't go the way we wanted, like hunters have bad days too, right? And so, the bullet bears have this massive kind of muscle that rides on the side of their top of their head that kind of forms a part, and the bullet had just went through some of that muscle. So he was totally fine.
Oh my gosh.
Like literally we grazed his scalp, but it knocked him out, right?
Right.
So there was that, and then like, there's been a couple of times with like, this wasn't as scary, but like I was walking in the leaves in Australia one time, barefoot, going to my tent. It was like midnight, and I see a snake in the leaves, and I love snakes. So I'm like, "Oh, you guys, there's a snake." And so when I look, and it's an eastern brown snake, which is like, top 5. Like if he bites you, you're done.
Right.
Or you're done.
Yeah.
You're done in 45 minutes probably. If he dumps his venom into you, you're going to have a bad day. So I see the snake, and I'm like, so I get down close to it, and we grab cameras, and then I said to the guy that I was hunting with, a good friend of mine named Nick Joyce, I said, "Hey, I want to touch him. He's just hanging out."
And you knew at this time what it was.
Oh yeah, I knew exactly what it was. And so I was like, "I want to touch him, Nick, but I just want to touch the very tip of his tail. Just not to say that I've touched one, but kind of to say that I've touched one. I just want it to be like, again, I'm like being hyper present, just like kind of want
Maybe a little too present.
So Nick's like, nah, mate, you can't.
Yeah.
He's like, they strike so fast that before your mind even registers, like, get out of the way, like you're done. You'll be bit.
Right.
So we had this knife that we were using to cut up. We were actually eating a kangaroo, and he's using this knife, and he takes the knife and he's like, watch, mate, and he touches the tip of its tail. And that snake, like I've watched rattlesnakes strike. I've been bitten by multiple non-venomous snakes. That snake bit that knife in like a third of like it was just
So fast.
It was. I was like, oh my word! And he bit the knife, and then he turned and he slid her away. And I was just. And Nick looked at me. I was like,
Oh my
Good call.
holy shit! Like, whoa! And so like I've just had things like that. I've had, just different black bears charging and people. It's less scary because they're not as big as a grizzly or brown bear, but they actually kill way more people than. There's a lot more black bears and a lot more black bears where people live. So way more people get killed by a black bear than get killed by a grizzly bear. Wow. But when I don't care if they're 125 pounds, when they're charging at you and they're gnashing their teeth, because when a bear charges you, they are trying to intimidate you because they are afraid. They are trying to bluff you out of their area, away from their food. But sometimes like a light switch is flipped and they're going to come. Like they think you're here to hurt their cubs, or you're here to steal their dinner, and they're like, I'm so worked up, I'm going to make contact with this guy and bowl him over. And I've never been hit by a bear, but, there's been things like that. But mostly, it's by and large weather. That's what's scary, is the airplanes and then the weather. Like probably the closest I've come to real death, there's been a couple, but we had one 2 years ago in out on the Aleutian chain in Alaska, like out towards Russia, right?
Oh,
So so Alaska has a really long. So here's the peninsula. So we're way out on Adak Island, and we were going in the Bering Sea. Like you guys have all seen Deadliest Catch.
Yeah.
That's where we are. We're in a very large small boat. So it's like a 35, 40-foot vessel. So like if it was parked in your parking lot, you'd be like, holy cow, that's a big boat.
Right.
In the Bering Sea, it's a very tiny boat. A really tiny boat.
Right.
So we're in this boat, and like we had two engines. One of the engines went out, and the seas are disorganized. So there's wind, current, and tide. And instead of like, you guys have all been in the ocean, right? And the waves, like even on a bad day, you're fishing or going to the beach or whatever, and you're sitting there like, oh, this kind of sucks. Like I'm getting seasick, or just like boom. Well, not here. Here, it's like you took something in your kitchen sink or your bathtub, and just kind of like made a bunch of waves, and all these spikes are all disorganized. And so like, we're in these seas that are like, I don't know. I mean, if I said they were 20-foot waves, I'd probably be lying, but they were 20-foot waves. Like it was a wall, and like we're skidding down the wave in the boat. One of our engines is out, so we're on one engine, and we're skidding down, and then as we get to the bottom, this other wave is coming over the top from the opposite direction, and then sometimes we're at the top of a wave, and then literally the ocean just falls out. And you're like,
Just falling.
just boom, and like you're watching the captain literally get thrown out of his chair across the boat, and then he's scurrying back to get the wheel, which is spinning out of control. And that, and it's like, and he's looking back at us going, he wanted us all in the cab, because he's like, hey, if we get rolled all the way over, the boat will right itself, but you'll be out. Right. And he's like, and I can't even, all I'm going to do is radio the Coast Guard and be like, the body fell out here. He's like, we're not turning around. We're not picking you up. Like, it's not happening. So you're going to be dead in probably in that water, probably 15 minutes, maybe less, maybe 10 minutes. You're going to be immobilized. Like you're not swimming. So like holding on for dear life, but I didn't want to be in the cab, because it's that you want to be in a little bit of control.
Right.
You're like, if I'm in the cab, I'm out of control. I'm like, if the vessel sinks, which, they're not designed to do, but like, but if
The
it
engines
rolls,
weren't designed to die either.
Yeah. And so like, that one was, that felt like I was, and I'm not a pilot, so I can't fly a plane, but that felt like I was really out of control. We were really out of control. Like I could see it in the captain's face. He's an amazing boat captain, but it's like the water, there's no reprieve. You can't even see shore. You don't need, like, Russia is closer to you. Like, mainland Alaska is 1,200 miles behind you. And it was just like, when we got through that, I was like, okay. And I was killing a caribou. I had to hunt a caribou for a film of ours called Winds of Adak. And when we found the herd of caribou that we were going to hunt, like, literally Corey, the boat captain, he goes, Donnie, you have 1 hour. So this is to speak to your point about being a hunter. He goes, you have 1 hour. Have you guys seen the film?
No.
Not yet,
Okay,
no.
so you guys
I saw the preview for it.
Yeah.
I haven't. I will.
So he goes, you have 1 hour to find the bull, kill it, and get it back on this boat, or we might not make it home tonight, because the stretch that we have to go through is, like, he's reading the current charts. He's like, the wind, the current, the tides, if they mash together in this window, and that's the same window that we have to go through there in the dark,
Right.
he's like, we might not make it. Like, physically, not have to turn around, all lives lost on the vessel.
Wow.
And so he's like, you have 1 hour. So I get to shore, and as we're rolling to shore, and I don't want to ruin it for you guys, but as we're rolling to shore, I see a bull caribou. I'm like, oh, there's a bull. And then I'm kind of noticing, and I realize this bull is entangled. He is stuck in a giant ball of fishing rope, like crab trap rope, like ropes they use to pull these back. He's all tangled. So he was probably sparring with this rope as a young bull, kind of practicing fighting other bulls and getting his neck ready to kind of go through this mock fighting. And they'll fight anything, right? A tree, a bush, anything. Well, he started fighting with this rope, and as we get to shore, I notice, like, he's choking himself to death.
As his
Antler, yeah,
antlers grow,
his
it
antlers
just
are
gets
all
tighter and tighter.
Yeah, and he's just he's gonna die. And so I was like, and I had my knives packed in my backpack because we were going across a really rough piece of ocean in a Zodiac raft, so I didn't want to. So I'm like, the guy that I was with, his name's Scott. I'm like, Scott, give me your knife. And he gives me his knife, and so then we took like 10 minutes to cut that bull free. Like, he's trying to kick us and, you know, gore us. I'm like, we have to rescue. Like, you can't leave an animal. I'm here to kill a caribou, but not this caribou. So, like, I have to cut him free and let him free so he has a chance at his life, and then I'll go kill the bull that I want to kill. So we did all that, and it took us like an hour and 45 minutes. So we were 45 minutes late to getting back on the boat.
Tyler
so
knows
it
what that's like.
Yeah, it was a long road home.
Being late,
Man.
It was a long
road. Man.
a long road.
All right, so how was that? Like that. So now you get back on that boat. Is the captain looking at you like, mother?
Oh yeah, he's like, he basically was like, you did really well, but we got to go. Like, you did really well, but we got to go. And like,
there's not an option just to like stay there for the night.
no, the water's too rough. Yep. Like, it's too unsettling. The tides are too big. Like, the tide drops too much for that boat. So where he would have to safely anchor, the water it's walls of water.
Oh my god!
And so, like, we had to steam back. And so it was like, we got going, you know, and we're like, okay, this isn't so bad, you know. And then, like, you literally, all of a sudden, you just see a black wall on the horizon. It literally looks like a black wall, and you're like, there's no land over there. It's like, what's that? Well, that's this transition between these two currents in the wind and the waves. It's like, okay, so we're all in. And it's one of those things where, like, it's almost like getting on a roller coaster. Like, waiting in line for a roller coaster, you're fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you get in the roller coaster and push the thing down on your lap, you're still fine.
Click. Yep.
Yeah. Once that thing takes off, you're like, yeah, I'm in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in it. Potential energy has become kinetic energy, and I'm in it. Like, this is what we're doing right now. And so that's, like, as soon as we, like, you over that first big wave, and it's like, you're in it.
Here we go.
You're in it.